some time ago, I got into a heated discussion online with someone who disagreed with what I'm about to say next and the subject of this video, and yet I feel very passionately about it. So I'm going to double down and I'm going to put out a public video about it. The Game Master is responsible for the game, and they are the conductor of the orchestra. Period. Can we all agree that when we actually play a game that we're hoping that game is fun? I think we can agree on that, right? As players or game masters, we are looking for a good time with our friends, ourselves, hopefully good roles, but the game master can't control that. We get to participate. Our friends get to participate. We are entertained by what is going on, right? And entertainment includes a whole bunch of things. One player doesn't spend 7 hours playing the game while you sit there doing nothing. By the way, that's happened to me as a player, literally. That we all get to participate fairly equally, that there is a good sense of excitement at the table. There's a bunch of things. I'm not going to repeat them all. Some of my previous videos and a lot of my next ones are going to cover these facets. But if we agree that this is why we're here, to have fun and participate in the game, then I would argue that the game master, the referee, the keeper, whatever you want to call them, they're the one running the show. They're the one running the actual story. And they're the ones that are capable of recognizing if the pace is off. Ergo, they are the conductor of the orchestra. Now, that's not to say that the players don't have some responsibility. Of course they do. That was this gentleman's main gripe with what I was saying. Well, the players are actually responsible too. It's not just on the... Agreed. There we go. We're in an agreement. Players can be extremely disruptive. Players can, if you're lucky, also be a very positive influence towards the pacing, energy of the game, right? And everyone's participation. But there has to be that one person at the table who is recognizing when the story is focusing a little bit too much on one person, as an example. And the only person that can do that and doing something about it is the game master, the conductor. As a conductor is responsible for bringing in certain sections of music at the right time and at the right level of volume, and taking this volume down and ensuring that everything is working together to create a perfect harmony. As that is the role of a conductor, I say that is also the role of the game master. And I want you to take it seriously. And I mean that. Let me give you some examples. Because it's very easy for a multitude of different things to go wrong at the table. But I'm going to focus on the pacing in this particular video, okay? The rhythm of the game when it comes to the participation of your players. It is extremely easy, if not inevitable, that you are going to be faced with a situation every game in which not everyone is participating equally at the table. There can be personality reasons for that, pro and con. There can be genuine character reasons, or just simply something happens in the game that forces the spotlight, and I'm going to start referring to that a lot in this next segment. The spotlight focuses on one person or one small group and is away from the others, and they're now in shadow. What I want you to be able to do is to recognize not only that that is happening, but it's about to happen. Because that enables you as a game master to do something about it. Let me give you an example. One player is a very talkative person just in and of themselves, and they like to talk a lot. Bad result, spotlight's on them more than needed, or at the detriment of others, right? One player is running a character that does a lot of talking. Maybe they're the diplomat of the group. The result, they're doing a lot of talking at the table. These people aren't doing a lot of talking. They're not participating as much. One character happens to go off and do something on their own. That happens all of the freaking time. They're a rogue scouting out the dungeon. They're a decker hacking the matrix. Maybe it's two people or one person or whatever in a fight that these people aren't in. Fights, by the way, can last a long time depending on the system that you're in, of course. But they're now doing something these guys aren't. And that's the thing. It's very easy for these people to be doing something, for that person to be doing something, and these people aren't. That's what I want you to be able to recognize. And there are plenty of things that you can do about this. The first part is you need to be able to see that that is going on. But more importantly, I want you to be able to start being proactive in almost bouncing the ball across the different sections of the orchestra. Why the orchestra has a ball, I don't know. That's going to be bad, but you get it. It's a poor analogy. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that you're dealing with this player here, and they are scouting the dungeon ahead. Cool. 5 minutes in, no more. Pause, onto the next player. Okay, so before you actually go through that door, Jen, is there anything that you want to be doing? And after you're done with Jen, bounce to Tom. And after you're done with Tom, bounce over here. Then bounce back, because this person's been sitting here. By the way, 5 minutes doesn't sound much, but 5 minutes with Jen, 5 minutes with Tom, 5 minutes with Sharon, there's 15 minutes before you get back to the original player, right? So it's if anything, it's a couple of minutes here, couple of minutes there, couple of minutes there, couple of minutes here. And now if they're in groups, they're going to be dealing with this group, dealing with that group. I had a group split my party in the other session. One group went off to the museum to do some research. One group went off to a pyramid to do some research. That's okay. Same principles. Spend a few minutes over here. At appropriate time, pause over here. Keeps these people participating. Be able and willing to bounce around the table. It is more important if, let's say, Tom loves to talk because of his character or his personality, and maybe Jen doesn't. And maybe you end up in a situation where Tom, Phil, oh, Phil, oh, shout, oh, back to Tom. What's happening at the table? Well, I'm maybe half an hour, 40 minutes in, and Jen hasn't actually participated in anything yet. It's not just about rolling dice. It's not just about like talking. It's about actually participating in the game in whatever capacity, right? So I always try to ensure that I'm bouncing around. I had a situation again in a recent game where I had all of the party bar one who stayed at the hotel researching some scrolls go off and do on an adventure. They were off. They were doing something. And like one way to combat this, by the way, and there's a couple of different ways to combat this, but one way to combat this is, at the very least, ensure that this adventure that's going on here is so freaking entertaining that, at least for a little bit, Jen is now, this is fun, right? This is fun. I'm entertained just by what's going on at the table. You can't rely on that. Jen ain't going to sit there for 6 hours in the session just because the fun they're having, right? But at the very least, do that. The second is bounce back to Jen. Bounce back to Jen occasionally. Okay, so this is what you discover in the scrolls. Or can you give me a roll to see if you can advance on this? She's participating in her little bubble of what she's doing. One of the big things that you can do, though, have the player who's not participating roll the dice for the bad guys for what these are doing. Have her play the bad people. That is a brilliant way to bring a character or a player who's currently not in that scene into it. And I actually occasionally do that, almost just, I don't want to say in a flippant way, but it can be as minor as, okay, I want to talk to the shopkeeper and, like, you know, see what sort of deal I can get. Okay, I'm going to need an opposed roll. Jen, why don't you roll for the shopkeeper? And now she's in that scene, right, for a moment. I don't let them play the NPCs. We'll have a separate video about that. Separate video. But having them roll these little sort of throwaway dice, why not? Right? Why not? They're participating. So you've got the players that like to talk. You've got the characters that do the talking. Those are good red flags for you to be cognizant of, extra cognizantly. That's not even a word. Extra word. That you need to be sure of grabbing the other players in. You've got a character or a group going off in separate directions. There's a red flag that you need to be able to bounce around a little bit, okay? Just recognize these situations when they're coming up. The other is, you've got a player sitting at the table who's quieter just by their very nature. Or maybe their character is doing something that just separates them a little bit. Well, I'm just going to go to the study and I'm going to do a little bit of research. What I want you to do is, as a GM, recognize this is a situation now where I'm probably going to spend more time with the other players than them. I need to put extra effort into involving them, bringing them into it. Even if it's just turning around and saying, Lionel, so you're researching this and this and this. Can you give me a roll a little bit and let them do their thing before we move on to what the other people are doing? Move the spotlight across your participants as equally as possible and recognize if there's someone that is getting skipped. Because, again, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, and this is only a 4-person group, you might have more. That's 15 minutes without this person doing anything. If I bounce back and I do that again, that's half an hour without this person doing anything. Don't do that. Good pacing. Bring people in, bring people down. It's just a pause button. We're going to come back to that brilliant scene. We're going to come back there. Let this person have their shine. Move over here. That's the conducting that I'm talking about. Good energy bouncing around the table. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below ways for the GM to ensure that everyone stays participating in the game, and even red flags for things that the GM to watch out for. Let me know down in the comments. I'm having a blast with these videos, so I ask if you enjoyed it, hit me with a like, maybe ring that bell, and I'll love you very, very much if you subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon on patreon.com/Alyssa Baden. I would love to see you over there. I give away maps all of the time and exclusive videos just for my patron backers. Hope you enjoyed. Love you. I'll see you at the gaming table. Keep rolling those dice.